Fearless Leader Podcast.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Fearless Leader Podcast. Today, I have Miss Scott, who is the Executive Director and President of the Dorson Community Foundation program project, Clean Up the Community, Put Our Babies in College program.
Yes.
All right, so I have Miss Scott right here. Hello, how you doing, Miss Scott?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you on. Definitely. So, tell me a little bit about yourself before we jump straight in.
Oh, okay. So I just turned 31, so just had my birthday in December.
Happy belated.
Thank you. I'm originally from Union County, so I grew up in Springfield, so small little suburb, like 95% white, middle class suburb, very classic childhood, being like one of 2-3 Black kids in the school. And I'm the youngest of 3, and I grew up with both my parents. Both my parents are actually like small business owners in East Orange. My dad, he's an eye surgeon, so he has his practice right outside of East Orange General. And then my mom, she runs Dorson Home Care, so it's a home care agency, as well as Dorson Vocational School. So I, growing up, spent pretty much all of my extracurricular time in East Orange. Went to church, I was part of a dance team, both my parents worked there, so I spent a lot of time there. So I feel like I had like a unique childhood, kind of balancing these two worlds, like, you know, going to school and pretty much sleeping in Springfield, had my friends, but then
Right.
I spent all the rest of my time in East Orange, really. And then my mom, she founded Dorson Community Foundation back in 1992. So I was 2-3 years old. So Dorson's been a staple in my life, my entire life. So I grew up going through the programs and all that jazz. And so I feel like I had a very like circuitous route to get to where I am today. I didn't see myself ending up in education or in the nonprofit world. For college, I studied communications and film, actually. I thought I wanted to be a film producer, work in Hollywood. I did all these internships in college in the film industry. And I was kind of one of those students, quintessential senior year, kind of had like one of those epiphanies, like, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be a film, film producer. Oh God, what am I going to do now? And so, senior year is where the only other thing I knew or felt connected to was education, because even throughout high school and in college, I was still very connected to Dorson. You know, my mom was still putting on programs in the community. She was still connecting you to, you know, you got to help this high school student. Can you look over her essay? So I was doing that all the while, all through college. And so when I kind of had my freak out moment senior year, I was like, all right, well, I do like helping people. This thing called education seems interesting. I took an urban education class. I did some volunteer work throughout college at West Philadelphia High School. And I was like, okay, maybe there might be something here. And so that was kind of what led me at least to start to think of education or nonprofit as a potential path for me. After college, I went back home. I did a random stint in Australia. I lived in Australia for a year.
Okay.
I studied abroad in Australia, and then I decided to go back afterwards for a year. And then when I came back, I had some focus and was like, all right, I think I want to, you know, apply for jobs exclusively in education, in higher ed and nonprofit. Still didn't know what exactly, but I just knew I wanted to help students do something like Dorson-esque, whatever that is. And so my first job was with an organization called A Better Chance at their New York office. And basically ABC, they recruit high achieving students of color and place them into private schools and boarding schools like around the country. So I was kind of like a placement officer. Like we're kind of the middleman between the schools, like local public schools, kind of like essentially like cherry picking their best students and working with their parents who wanted something different for them potentially, and also working with these kind of like, you know, prestigious boarding schools and private schools who are essentially looking to diversify their classes. And so it's like, it's a weird middle ground. It's a weird world to be in,
Right.
but I worked there for about 2 years and helping place students into different schools around New York City prep schools and some boarding schools up in Connecticut, New Jersey. And then in my like second year of working there, I loved what I was doing, but I felt like I needed to go back to school, or I kind of fell into this education world. I didn't study education, I studied film. And so that's when I decided to go to get my master's, and I did my master's in higher education, kind of learning the higher education system, post-secondary school, college access, that whole world. And did my master's. It was a 1-year program. And then immediately when I graduated, I started working at Columbia University. I went to Teachers College at Columbia, so I pretty much just stayed in that same area. Worked at Columbia University for their career services, so working with their college undergrads, helping them figure out their lives essentially. Okay. And then eventually was there for 3 years. Honestly, kind of felt like I wasn't making the impact I wanted to make, and ended up taking a leap of faith and deciding to resign from there and step in as executive director of Dorson. And so that was a long-winded way of
no, that's okay.
getting you to here.
I mean, it helped me understand. It helped me understand where you are right now, though. I like the idea that those experiences and those travels that you've been through sort of put you in this space right now. I'm sure that through the years when you watch a lot of our inner city students into when you kind of was played a hand in making sure that they had places to go, whether it was high school or making sure that they had access to college, and then, you know, taking all of that information and sort of bringing it back home and making it yours, you know. So I think that's a great journey in itself. So definitely proud of that and the impact that you're making right now. So I want to jump into just a little bit before I get into my first question.
Yeah.
How does the fearless leader know about the Dorson Foundation? So friend of mine, friend of yours too, Mr. Muhammad Abdelaziz, was like, B, I know this great program. You're going to love it. Now it's a hard, you know, for me, certain programs, they're hard sells. So, but he was like, I was like, listen, okay, just, you know, we'll get the rep on the phone. He was like, it's right around the corner. So we make our little way around it, you know, to East Orange, and, you know, get on the elevator, and I'm like, and it was like a gym. Like I you know, like I told you, I saw some of my students there, and I saw what was going on, and then I was like, this is beautiful. Like I saw students who should be in SAT prep programs receiving that sort of support. You know, I saw students from not only Orange, I saw students from East Orange, and I think I even met 1 or 2 students who were from Irvington, and I was like, and Newark was a gentleman there from Newark too, and I was like, this is a gym. And I knew we needed to do, me and Mr. Abdelaziz at the time, we needed to make sure that students across the board had access to this information, and parents as well. Because I thought what I saw, what was happening up there, and that sort of preparation to move students to the next level was great. So I always said that if I had an opportunity to speak about the Dorson Foundation, that I would. So here we are, Ms. Scott.
I know.
Let me get on. I no problem at all. On the website the other day, I saw one of the quotes, and I'm gonna feed it back to you so you can elaborate on it for us, okay? It says, the Dorson Community Foundation enriches and develops the next generation of leaders and agents of change from underserved communities by emphasizing self-discovery and civic engagement to empower students on their path to and through post-secondary education and on to career success. Now, I know you wrote that.
That's some help.
That's all yours, Ms. Scott. but I want you to explain to the listeners, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so there's a lot of college prep, career readiness programs, all serving the same mission, wanting to get our students off to post-secondary education, whatever that looks like. And I, of course, strongly believe in that. But I think what kind of separates Dorson, what makes us a little bit different, is we really emphasize not just getting the students to college, not just the destination, but really wanting to foster the student as an individual. So really helping them develop into the best person that they can be. And so in the last 2 years, really since I've kind of stepped in as executive director, it's really been my mission of like infusing a lot of like critical self-reflection into our programs, because I think that's important to guide our students along, not just this idea of just getting them to college. You know,
Right.
they're whole human beings. They have families, they have lives outside of school that also need to be, dealt with, that need to be supported. And so when I talk about, developing and emphasizing self-discovery, that's a big part of our program, is really kind of in encouraging students in self-reflection, helping them develop the critical mindsets that they need to be successful, through high school, but then of course beyond. And so that's kind of one thing that we really wanted to emphasize in our mission, and really make sure that's clear that that's what we do at Dorson. We don't just kind of set them up for college, with classes and SAT prep. We really try to focus and support them as individual, humans. And so that's one, part I wanted to address. And then civic engagement. So community service has always been a big part of Dorson, outside of, our program, SAT, and our Dorson Scholars Program and college readiness classes. We've always been in the community. Two main programs that we've always done is a Toys for Tots drive and our Feed the Homeless initiative.
Okay.
So that's been honestly a staple of my life, my entire life, since my mom started the program. Is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, we always make about 200 warm meals. We go down to North Penn Station and we give it out to people who are suffering from homelessness. And so those are two impactful just community give back.
Right.
But we get our students involved in that, because I very much believe that being involved in your community, particularly as we're trying to develop these students into great leaders, I want them to be great leaders that come back and help their community.
Right.
It's people who, our local, I'll take my father, for instance. As I said, he's an eye surgeon in East Orange. He could have put his practice anywhere. He could have built his practice in Springfield, where we live. He made an intentional decision to build his practice in East Orange, because he himself is a product of the inner city. He's from Jamaica, but when he came to this country, he grew up in Harlem and he grew up in the Bronx. And so, it's students who are from our local inner cities that we want to come back and impact change in their local communities. And so civic engagement, community service, community give back is a big element of our program, and always getting our students involved in our community give back and infusing that as something that's so important in not becoming a great human, but also being a great member of your community. So that's another area that's just really impactful in terms of what separates us from other programs. And so that's a huge part of our mission. So those are just like the two key elements: self-discovery, civic engagement, to empower our students on the path to success. So yes, the destination is still getting them to career and college success, but we're emphasizing these two elements: support of the individual, support of their community along that journey.
I don't want to miss anything, and because I don't want to just take the piece of the pod that I was familiar with. So with the SAT prep, was there after school programs and things like that the program offered as well?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of changes, honestly, since I've stepped in. So in 2019, I came in and kind of, took this organization. I don't want to say took it from my mom, but my mom, she was just someone in the community that just wanted to put on programs for students. So she, during her time of running the organization, we did SAT prep. We had a career development program. So on Saturday, students would come, we'd have guest speakers. We talk about just career readiness, career enrichment. We had our community service give back. We've always had these summer scholarships through a partnership with Cornell University that gives students ability to go to college for 3 weeks over the summer. And so all of these different programs, I like to say they always kind of existed like a la carte. So you can come do that program, and Saturday do that. When I came in, I wanted everything to kind of situate into like a continuum program. And one issue that I saw was just like a lack of consistency in attendance, lack of, some students attend this program but not another program, and really hard for us to really track our impact, to really track the measure of success of what we're doing here. And so when I stepped in 2019, we kind of launched probably one of the biggest programmatic changes to how our model is at Dorson. And so fall 2019, we launched the Dorson Scholars Program. So that's our main program right now. It's a tuition-free 4-year college prep program where our students, we work with a cohort right now, and they're in a year-round kind of continuum program that includes all of these different elements in one. So we have our college readiness on a bi-weekly basis, our career development program, which has always existed, but now it's situated in this continuum program. We do STEM enrichment workshops, our community service, and then our summer enrichment program. So that Cornell program I was talking about, all of it kind of within this, as I said, a 4-year continuum program. And so that's really been our main focus since fall 2019. But as I said, all these programs existed before, kind of a la carte. So when you came to visit, I think you saw our SAT program, which has always existed. But in the last 2 years, we're trying this new model of kind of encompassing it all in this one wraparound program and seeing how we can work with a cohort of students and really support them on the full journey from 9th grade through high school and then into college.
Are you taking, were there like a limited seating for students to participate? And as many students that can apply can attend? How does that work with the program?
So right now we have a cohort of 20 students. And so the idea is at the 9th grade level, we bring in a new cohort of 20 every year. And so when we have a full load, we'll have 80 students. But right now we're only working with the 20 because it's the second year of the program. It's kind of like a pilot to see how this goes.
Okay.
And then outside of this program was our SAT prep, which was still open registration, still any student from the community. That was still kind of us keeping our tentacle in the community.
Right.
COVID changed a lot.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
COVID kind of forced us to put that program on hold until we kind of figured out this virtual world, found proper instructors, and figure out how we want to continue that program. But yeah, so it's 20 students on a year-by-year basis. And that even we want to be able to grow and reach more students because, one thing that has always been in moving towards this new programmatic model, something that's always been like a worry or stressor for me is, I don't want Dorson to be an exclusive program. We've always been a program that serves all students.
Right.
But when you limit to 20, obviously there's some exclusivity there. So it's like we're kind of trying out this model to see, how it works, the impact, and be able to measure it. And then beyond that, how can we expand it to include more cohorts, more students, and be able to serve more, more. In our first year, when we went out and were recruiting and kind of shopping this program around, we had, I think, around 65 applicants for that spot of 20. And I mean, that alone lets you know that there's a need in the community. There's students out there that want to be a part of this. And we want to be able to serve those students. And so that's kind of the middle kind of conundrum that we're in right now as we're shifting towards this new model.
That's exactly why, Ms. Scott, why I really wanted to, I needed to have you on the program, because there's such an opportunity and such a need for the Dorson Foundation. And I'm not sure if folks know the gym that exists in our own backyard. I mean, when your mom walked me and Ms. Abdelaziz through the foundation of the program and what it was designed for and what it was designed to do, we were enamored. We were like, wow. We were trying to figure out if we could make direct pipelines and connections and things like that to the school. So I just really wanted the exposure, definitely, so that parents, students, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody who's out there in earshot of this can take advantage of this opportunity. What also threw me about the program was, can you walk us through the cost of the program?
So the program is free. It is free. So our SAT prep was free for many years. And then we, maybe in the last 4 or 5 years, instituted a minimal cost. I think it was $75.
And that was
which
what I don't
is-
want to jump in too much, but the $75 was with SAT book, or what did that include? Was it
Yeah.
the SAT
So
book?
SAT book included, and you can come to as many sessions throughout the year as you would like. So
Okay,
it's not
stop
like
right
you have to
there.
pay
Stop, because
$75 each time.
right. And so I need to jump in on this too. My daughter graduated last year. A few years prior to SAT prep, $1,500, 8 sessions. I mean,
Easy.
so I really wanted to hammer that into anyone who was listening, because I want everyone to understand the importance of that dollar amount. If you can't afford the Huntingtons and the other platforms, and not even that you can't afford it, you don't have to. Right. You don't have
Right.
to, when you realize, what's going on in your own neighborhoods. And so the Dorson Foundation, when I was like, hold up, $75, the book itself is about $50, $60, right? So I was like, really, like, yeah. So, and then to get the one-on-one attention that you would need, or that support that your sons, daughters, grandparents, little brothers and sisters might need, for that student, I just felt like it was something that we had to just put out again. So I'm on the Dorson. I should be over there with you speaking out, but I just want everybody to really understand and know what's going on in our own backyard. So there was another point that you wrote, that you guys spoke about on the website, and it talked about the opportunity gap. You want to jump into that? I think it was like I think if I'm correct, you guys, the website spoke about 26% of the disparity between the have and the have-nots graduation rate, if I'm correct.
Yeah. I mean, Essex County in particular is like a very interesting place because you have, the inner cities, East Orange, Newark, Irvington on one end, and then 10 miles away, you have, Milburn Short Hills, which is like a very high class area, all in the same county.
Yes, ma'am.
And so our students within the same county are having a very different experience. And it's, aside from it not being fair, it's just something that we need to bring light to, because these are all students with the same goals and dreams. They want to go to college, they want to, go on, have successful careers. No different. The students, if you put them side by side, no different in how they talk about their goals and dreams for the future. But the support that they're getting, and that gap of opportunity in their lives, literally by living in 2 different zip codes, is something that really needs to, bring light to. On our website, we talk about like the vast this difference in graduation rates. I mean, we pull on the 2 extremes. Milburn High School, which is consistently one of the top high schools in the state of New Jersey, 99% graduation rate. 11 miles away, you have Barringer High in Newark, which has in some years 50% graduation.
Yes.
Not only is that a complete tragedy, but again, that's in the same exact county. And so there's something happening in, there's some enrichment, there's something going on within the lives of students in Milburn, in Short Hills, whether it's the type of household they come from, typically higher median income, sometimes mostly 2-parent households. Parents have advanced degrees. There's enrichment. There are conversations happening at the table with those students. They're being imbued with, critical mindsets, and imbued with, different socio-emotional learning skills, just from being in that type of household environment, that our students within the inner city are not necessarily always getting, because, as we know, different, family structure, or just a completely different demographic of student. And so where Dorson sees, we kind of filling in the gap where we can. providing enrichment, providing opportunities, providing social emotional support, providing mentors, people who have gone to college, where some of our students might be coming from a family where they're going to be the first in their family to go to college. And so they don't have someone to turn to. And so that's really where we see Dorson as kind of like filling in that gap of opportunity by providing the opportunity, the enrichment, the mentorship, the what have you, to get our students to be able to be as successful as those students who are coming from, the other end of the county.
Yeah. Do you think we start, and when I say we, I'm talking about, I'm in that fight with you in that, in the inner city. Do you think that we start the preparation for that college walk? Do you think we started a little bit too late, Ms. Scott?
I do. I mean, one of the things, with our SAT program, the vast majority of our students coming in were seniors. That was breaking my heart because that's too late.
Yeah.
That's far too late. And so, and you're talking about students who, as I said, on the other end of the county, are starting SAT prep, freshman year, sophomore year.
Yeah.
And not even just SAT prep, but conversations around college and going on college tours and all of that from 9th, 10th grade. And so we're starting late. We absolutely are. And so one of the key things with the Dorson Scholars Program was it starts at the 9th grade. I wish it could start earlier, honestly, but it starts at the 9th grade, where we have to just start conversations around what exists after high school. Just start conversations around just building college readiness skills. And that includes just like sound study habits or, self-advocacy, and starting that early, because it's far too late to start talking about those things come senior year.
And so that your 20 students in that cohort, that's a freshman cohort. They start off freshman year with you guys?
They start off freshman year. The cohort right now, they're sophomores, but they started with us as 9th graders. Yeah, so fresh out of middle school, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, to come get some enrichment and learn about college readiness. Yeah.
And so how do those students come to you, Ms. Scott? Like, one, they're kind of already, they're either juniors or seniors. So we know the age in which they come to you guys, but academically, are they academically sound students? Do you find you have a lot of polishing to do to bring those students up to speed with what they need to know before you actually, before we send them off to college? Yeah.
So in starting the Dorson Scholars Program, as I said, like I was very conscious of not wanting this to be like an exclusive program just serving the cream of the crop. Right. Because there's a million programs out there that serve the cream of the crop. And those students, they're going to be okay. Somebody's going to find them, help them. They're going to get to where they need to go. But I always think about the students in the middle ground who really need support. And so our students they kind of cross the whole gamut. We had some in our cohort of 20, we have some superstars who come in like very refined, polished. And I feel like I brought them into the program because they can really help push, motivate our other students. And then we have some students who were coming in with some grades that are a little questionable, but they had a potential, they have a drive, they have a high motivation, and they seem to have some support around them that I feel like, we can come in and really help develop this young person. And so it's really kind of, our students definitely span the gamut.
So quick commercial break with you and I. And it entails this. Can you give me the price of the Dorson Community Foundation program once again, Ms. Scott? What's the cost on that?
It is free $99.
I love it. I love it. Listen, when students come to you, what do you think is like one of the biggest determining factors if a student can get into college? Have you seen something? Have you seen a trait or behavior that has you to believe like we need to work on this to get them there, and you're seeing it more often than not?
Yeah, I think self-advocacy is huge. The student who can vocalize what they're struggling with, a student who has almost like a fearlessness in asking for help. that's a muscle that I'm really trying to develop with our students, because some of them coming into our program already kind of have it. I have some students who text me all the time, like, Natasha, I need help with this. But then there's some students who will sit in that struggle when they have a team of people around them that are there to help. So from what I've seen, particularly students who are now alums of our program, they're off in college, but they still kind of come back, or I talk with them still. They were the students who they innately within them was like, look, I need help, and I'm not gonna be afraid to ask.
Exactly.
And they know I need this. I see there's people around me that are here to help me. I'm gonna put fear, ego, whatever aside, and I know how to articulate when I need help, and they ask for it. And so self-advocacy is something I'm constantly driving home to students. What do you need help with? How can we support you? I'm not a mind reader. Like, tell me what you need, because we're here.
No, and I think that's I think that's key. When you said it, I thought while you were explaining it, I was thinking to myself that I can't imagine the number of times that I've walked into a classroom to do a walkthrough, and I've sat and seen students, they might know the answer and will sit quiet. They might not know the answer and be so in a space that they don't even want to raise their hand to ask a question with kids that they've been in school with, for years. And so they, the power in finding a voice, like you just said, finding their own voice, that's powerful with our students, because they tend to miss a lot when they don't speak up. So I appreciate that with that. Can you explain the 5 pillars of your program?
Yes. So our 5 pillars, they kind of all describe like how we're trying to get our students where we need to go. So what are the 5 pillars of our program? What are the 5 areas that we at Dorson kind of like promote that we believe develops our students into scholars by the end of the program? So our first pillar is self-actualization. As I said, I'm big on not just supporting the student on their destination to get to college, but helping them develop as human beings. And so we really strive to trigger just meaningful self-reflection in our students. At every step of the way, we're asking them for feedback. We're asking them, how did that make you feel? We have feedback sessions. We have group advising on a bi-weekly basis. So students can really just sit with themselves, sit among themselves and connect with each other, and kind of do this, growing thing together. Like they're high school students, they're growing. So personal development, asking themselves critical questions, why, how does that make me feel? I think self-reflection sometimes is a bit of a privilege, particularly when you're, particularly if you're talking about students within the inner city versus students, I would say even students like myself who grew up in the suburbs, where I had the privilege of sitting and asking myself, how does that make me feel? And asking myself these questions and reflecting. Students who are maybe, I'm just going to give like a very vague example, coming particularly from a single parent home where they're helping a lot around the house and helping take care of younger students. They don't really have that privilege to sit and kind of have these moments of self-reflection.
Think about that,
And think exactly. So that's something that we try to make a core part of our program, because I believe that's something that's happening for students over here that aren't happening for our students over there. So self-actualization is our first pillar, trying to help these students become self-actualized human beings. Second is post-secondary exposure, readiness, and access. So my goal is for our students to gain exposure to the array of post-secondary options. College obviously is kind of like the big one that we're a huge herald for, but there's many different options for students post high school that they can still become successful in life. So giving them exposure to the array, and then also helping them develop the skills they need to feel prepared once they leave high school. So, in our college readiness course, we're doing things like study habit skills, talking about time management, note-taking, teamwork and collaboration. So some of those like soft skills to help them feel prepared when they go off to, being on college campus. The third pillar is career awareness and professional development. So a college degree does not imply that you're going to be ready for the workforce.
It's a college degree, right?
It's a college degree. That's it. That doesn't mean that you're ready to step into a job and you know exactly how to navigate a workspace. And I saw it all the time, in particular when I was working at Columbia University for 3 years. I'm working with some of the brightest and best, students, around, who also clueless. They're doing their first internship, and I have to talk to them about how to do interviewing skills. This is how you this is how you negotiate for salary. Just kind of getting them ready for the workplace, because that's not really taught in school, or that's
Correct.
not really taught. I mean, definitely not in high school, and it's barely taught in college.
Right.
So our pillar on career awareness is helping to prepare our students for the workplace, but also allowing them access to resources, knowledge, and then a big area for us is social capital, to make them feel informed about what they want to do with their lives. So in our career development course, which we've been running for years, a huge element of our program has been bringing in local professionals and business leaders and people from the community, from a wide variety of industries, to come in and talk with the students about their educational path, their career journeys, and share just like real world, career insights, and just giving students exposure to all of the different types of careers that exist and people who look like them who are doing those things. So that's our third pillar. Our fourth pillar is service learning and community engagement. So back to that, that emphasis on, civic engagement, civic responsibility, being a member of your community, not just, a resident of your town, but somebody who actually is invested in making it a better place. And so, our community service, our give back elements are very much a big part of our program, and getting our students involved in that. And then the fifth pillar is transformative summer experiences. So there's a lot of research, at least in the last 3 to 5 years, about, the summer slide, about, low income students who are facing academic regression because they're not, remaining engaged during the summer months. And what we want to do at Dorson is provide opportunities for students to remain engaged over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Summer programs are not cheap.
Right.
Summer programs, they are very much a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And so at Dorson, we've done a great job at forming partnerships with different summer programs. The Cornell Summer College is one. That's a pre-college program where students get to go for 3 weeks over the summer and take a college course, earn real college credit, and live at Cornell University up in Ithaca. We have a partnership with an organization called the Student Diplomacy Corps, which I honestly wish I had access to as a kid myself, but the Student Diplomacy Corps is basically a travel abroad program. They provide all expenses paid opportunities for students to travel for a month over the summer, to places like Japan, New Zealand, China, Italy, Mexico, all fully funded through the Student Diplomacy Corps. We've been sending 4 or 5 students every year through that program. And then our last partnership that we just solidified last summer is with a tech company called Tenna in Edison, New Jersey. They do construction engineering, and they have partnered with us to bring on an intern each summer. We started with one, but we're hoping to grow it. And Tenna themselves is hoping to grow or develop this into a pipeline to employment program.
Okay. And
so summer enrichment is huge. And I believe students can have transformative life experiences through these summer programs. And so just remaining engaged year round is really our fifth pillar at Dorson.
I saw this study and I jotted it down. I wanted to put this on you. It said that the article was entitled "The Concentration of Poverty in American Schools." It was conducted by Stanford Center for Education Policy Analysis. And it found that the single most powerful predictor of racial gaps in educational achievement is the extent to which students attend schools surrounded by other low-income students. So just because you are sitting in that space, I mean, and you spoke heavily about that during this podcast about being in that inner city sort of bubble, the Center for Educational Policy believes that you're stuck, right? Because of that grouping of folks that you're being educated with. And I wanted to put that out there, not as a question, but I wanted to tell you that I like what you guys do in spite of, right? In spite of a kid coming from East Orange High School, Orange High School, Irvington High School, any high school in Newark, in spite of all of that happening, whatever they have to do, if they make their way to Dorson, you guys make sure that they have an opportunity. Right. Yes. So I don't need you to guarantee me that my kids are going to make it to Stanford. But if you can put my baby on in Essex County College and you have him ready and then he's ready for the next step after that, that's a blessing. And so I really wanted to take this time so that people start to understand, one, the important things that we have, the gems that I started off saying earlier that we have in our community, the Dorson Foundation. I shouldn't even have to. I mean, you almost should have like a Channel 7 commercial or something like that. People should already be sponsoring you for what for what you guys offer to our community and offer to our babies. Right. And I think that that's where the investment is. I'm definitely proud of the Dorson Foundation and what you guys offer. And I was so glad to see when I walked through the doors a few years ago, some of the things that I saw. And today, Ms. Scott, with even some of the information, some of the new programs that you guys have. Which is real good. I want to let you know, I'm going to put your link on. You let me know anything, what links that I need to put on the Fearless Leader platforms. Period. Because the only thing I want from you is not to call me. If you get too many calls, I don't want you to call me like you done started something about. No, I don't want you to get on me like that. But I do want to open up the floodgates for this because I do think that a lot of times we are waiting too late to educate our students on the importance of that SAT, ACT. And then now I'm hearing parents talk about how, certain schools and students, certain schools we don't need the SAT and ACT program. And okay, but now the school is saying that you have to have a higher GPA. And so there's no way around good instruction. There's no way around you having to buckle down and do and be ready for this and be ready for the next steps. There's no way around putting in the work. There's no way around it. But what you can do is embrace people like the Dorson Foundation or programs like the Dorson Foundation who could come in and support your sons and daughters and support you and making sure that, listen, I have helped to make it through. Yeah. Right. And so I definitely appreciate you, Ms. Scott. So I don't want this to be the last time that we definitely talk.
No. I appreciate you inviting me here to this platform as well, just to I mean, I appreciate you even calling Dorson a hidden gem because that's how I feel we are too. We've been here in the community for some time. We've been, kind of with our head down, just supporting students and not really thinking about, the awareness that we're bringing, just any student that finds us, we kind of serve them. But I appreciate you allowing me the platform to talk about what we've been doing and for people to realize that we do exist. There are programs like this in the community. We're here, come find us. And we have plenty of opportunities in enrichment that we want to, give out to students.
Well, I'm definitely going to go out and find them. Because, and I appreciate anybody who could turn me on to them because I think that, especially if it's about our babies, we definitely need to make sure that if it's support out there to put them where they need to be on that next level, then we need to be doing, we need to turn over every rock to make sure that we put our students in the best possible position to be successful through high school and off, and off when we send them off to college. So I want to say thanks again, Ms. Scott. I want to say tell your mom I said hello and thank you. She walked me through. It was sort of funny when she walked me through. I had so many questions, and I know her eyebrow was like, "You see what's going on here." So I definitely, I want you to tell her I said thanks I think she walked me through about once or twice, but thank you for all that you do for our community. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Ms. Scott, you take care.
You.
All right.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Fearless Leader Podcast, a podcast made to help you take control of your life and find your passion. If you enjoyed tonight's podcast, make sure you subscribe so you're notified whenever a new episode is posted, and rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. We really appreciate your support here at the Fearless Leader Podcast. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you all next week.